Yeah.
Welcome back to Raj, our weekly newscast. I'm Sylvia, and today we're going to be talking about how imperialism is taking over our European nations. As we all know, powerful African armies were able to keep out Europeans for 400 years, but with the invention of the steam-powered riverboat, it allowed Europeans to conduct major expeditions into the interior of Africa. So take it away, Susan, with the Scramble of Africa.
Thank you, Sylvia. So right now I'm here with Shaka, one of the leaders of the African army. And we're here for a mini interview. So before the army was created, what was Africa like?
Before the army was created, Africa was constantly invaded and took advantage of.
What was your purpose of this army that you created?
To protect and centralize and keep our country free of European invaders.
I heard you guys recently went into battle. What was that like?
We lost the battle against Ulindi and our organization fell under the British control.
Okay, that is all for right now, folks. Thank you. Take it away, Bethany.
Thank you, Susan. Now on to the Scramble for Africa. African people were divided into hundreds of ethnic and linguistic groups. Africans controlled their own trade networks and provided trade items. In 1882, French approved a treaty that gave France the north bank of the Congo River. Soon, Britain, Germany, Italy, and Portugal and Spain were also claiming parts of Africa. Now back to you, Susan.
Thank you, Bethany. So to talk about the Scramble for Africa. The division of Africa began in 1880 between 14 different European countries, all in desire to eagerly claim Africa for their own. Interest in colonizing Africa grew due to the discoveries of diamonds and gold in 1867 and 1886. The act of claiming Africa between the 14 countries became competitive and stressful to where they all feared the outbreak of war. To prevent this outbreak of war, they all attended the Berlin Conference in 1884 and 85 to discuss the regulations and rules of the division of Africa. As the conference meeting took place, no Africans were asked or allowed to take place in these meetings.
Thank you.
Hey! See the guy taking my little girl out, huh?
Yep.
Huh. You know what? Why don't you go ahead and take my new car?
Thanks, Pops.
Go ahead, baby.
Watch this. Favorite spot? Favorite girl?
You messing with the wrong daddy!
I'm taking you home.
Why?
Car Finder on the Hyundai Genesis.
Back so soon?
Copyrighted by
Because a dad's got to do
50 Most
what a
Famous
dad's gotta
Commercials.
Honey, what'd you guys do tonight?
Breaking news! European powers who took over Africa are searching to control the Muslim lands in Egypt in order to control all the trading between the Mediterranean and the Red Sea after Selim III was overthrown. Meanwhile, the Ottomans are working to not be apparent to European powers. Greece has finally gained its self-independence and Serbia has gained self-rule. The Crimean War broke out between the Russians and the Ottomans. The French and the British have been trying to prevent Russia from gaining control over the Ottoman lands. The French, the British, and the Ottomans have successfully defeated Russia. This is the first war in which, led by Florence Nightingale, that women have earned their rights as army nurses. World powers were attracted to the Ottoman strategic location since they gained control over the Mediterranean and Atlantic sea trade. As for Russia, they desperately wanted a passage for their grain exports, which caused them to form alliances with the Ottoman. Also the first war to be covered by newspaper correspondents. The Ottoman Empire military weaknesses have been extremely revealed throughout this war. The Ottoman Empire has reduced in size. Here's Sarah with the weather.
Currently in Northern Europe, it is 50 degrees out, clouds all over the sky, with a 20% chance of rain, and maybe later on tonight we're expecting some showers.
Now let's talk about the British imperialism in India. The British came to India and hoped to use their land and products as profit, which caused numerous economic conflicts. The Industrial Revolution turned Britain into the world's biggest workshop, and India was a major supporter of their raw material. The British set up restrictions from preventing the Indian economy from operating on its own. British policies called for India to produce raw material for British manufacturing and to buy British goods. India's competition with British goods was prohibited. India's own handloom textile industry was almost put out of business by imported British textiles.
As the European powers rushed to divide Africa, they also competed for the lands of Southeast Asia. Western nations desired the Pacific Rim lands for their strategic location along the sea route to China. Pacific colonies are big sources of tropical agriculture, minerals, and oil. Dutch East Indian Company has established control over most of the 3,000-mile-long chain of Indonesian islands. The British have taken over a major trading port in Singapore. The French took over Indochina on the Southeast Asian mainland. And finally, the Germans claimed the Marshall Islands, parts of New Guinea, and the Solomon Islands. These 4 countries are constantly competing for new lands.
And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you've learned something new this week. Thanks for tuning in to our weekly newscast, and see you next time from your chicas locas.
Sorry!
Profit, but it can numerous economic.
Now back to you. It's 50 degrees with clouds all around the sky, and it is there's a 20% chance of rain. What else?
Now let's talk about the.
Back to the Raj.
Action.
Like the speaker? No. Okay.
This is the Ottoman strategic location.
2, go.